evening, everyone. I'd like to start the organizational meeting of the Ansonia Board of Aldermen. If everybody please stand for the pledge to our flag.
How do you put on mute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag,
flag,
the United
United States of America,
and to the
the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all. Can I have a roll call, please, of who's in attendance?
Alderman King,
Here.
Alderman Stowe,
Here.
Alderman Phipps,
Here.
Alderwoman Tar,
Here.
Alderman Cassetti. Is Alderman Cassetti here? I had him here. Okay, Alderman Janetti,
Here.
Alderman Spigarolo. I know he's here.
He's muted.
You're muted.
Okay, he's here though. Alderwoman Stroman,
Here.
Alderman Yellman,
Here.
Alderman Rivers,
Here.
Alderman Mamone, is it Ed Sturgis that has a TV on? Alderman Stewart,
Present.
Alderman Blackwell. Is Alderman Blackwell here? Alderman DeLibero. So I am just unsure on Alderman Cassetti. I thought he was here. So I believe I have 11 present.
We have 11 present. We have a quorum for tonight's organizational meeting. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to elect a member as president of the Board of Aldermen for a term of 1 year from December 1st, 2020 to December 1st, 2021. I will open up the nominations at this time. Are there any nominations for president of the Ansonia Board of Aldermen?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Dr. Josh Stewart.
We have a nomination. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second.
Second.
Second. Are there any other nominations for president? Are there any other nominations for president? A third and final time. Are there any other nominations for president? Having none, I will close the nominations. All those for Josh Stewart as president of the Ansonia Board of Aldermen signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
One.
Second order of business. Congratulations, Josh. The second order of business is to establish the day, the month, the hour of the day to hold the monthly meetings for 2021. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion to establish it on the second Tuesday of the month at 7 p.m. in the aldermanic chambers when possible.
Second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstain. Third, to establish a place where the monthly meetings will be held.
Upper City.
Right.
I knew I'd get a chuckle out of you. So what is your pleasure?
I make a motion that it be, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Diane.
I make a motion that the meetings be held in the aldermanic chambers, City Hall, Ansonia.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstain.
Can I add when possible to that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When possible. Fine.
How are you,
Yeah,
Diana?
when possible.
Number 4, to adopt the rules and procedures under which the board will conduct its business.
Motion to adopt Robert Rules of Order as revised through 2021.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. 5 is to handle any of the appropriate business to come before the Board of Aldermen. Is there any other business? Having none, I will adjourn the organizational meeting and we will resume the regular Board of Aldermen meeting at 7 o'clock. Thank you. you very much and congratulations, John.
Congratulations there, Mr. President.
The notes the same. Pledge allegiance.
For the flag. United States
States of America, to the republic
Republic for which it stands, one nation, God, visible with
liberty, justice for all.
Alderman King,
Here.
Alderman Stowe, Alderman Phipps,
Here.
Alderwoman Tar. Here. Alderman Cassetti,
Here.
Alderman Janetti,
Here.
Alderman Spigarolo. I know you're there.
Here.
Alderwoman Stroman,
Here.
Alderman Yellman,
Here.
Alderman Rivers,
Here.
Alderman Mamone, Alderman Short,
Present.
Alderman Blackwell,
Here.
Alderman DeLibero. Okay, you've got 12 present, 2
I declare quorum. Can we meet that before we move on?
Just want to ask everybody to mute if you're not talking.
I got it now.
Speaking to the first Continental Congress.
Can people mute their mics if they're not going to talk?
John, what is an American? Yes. Founding fathers, 800, please. George Washington held to the maxim no less applicable to public than to private affairs, that honesty is
I can
the-
certainly mute everybody
You got it.
if we have a continued problem.
His duties as president.
Just let me know.
Well, there's
Makes it a little more
background,
cumbersome to move.
all kinds of background noise.
With Adam,
Yes.
four, 200.
Animal mail.
All right.
200. Party on with this name for an adult
Watch
male.
Jeopardy. Not me.
Cody?
What is a stag?
Yes.
Animal male, 400.
A male guinea pig is
There we go. All right, so public session. Would anyone from the public wish to speak tonight? It's very hard. We're looking around here. Raise your digital hand. Raise your real hand if you're on camera. Put something in the chat. Would anyone from the public wish to speak tonight? There's one here, Dianna Carrasquillo. See if you're unmuted. John, can you unmute her and please identify yourself?
Hello, I'm Dianna Carrasquillo. Good evening, everyone.
Name and address for the public record, please.
Dianna Carrasquillo, 5 Frandon Drive, Danbury, Connecticut.
Thank you.
Well, I'm presenting to you tonight. I believe all of you have a letter in front of you. I'm an avid geocacher. Geocaching is a hobby of mine. I basically call it like a treasure hunt. And a friend of mine passed away, and I would like to plant a geocache honoring him. He was originally from Ansonia, and I found Nolan Field. Nolan Park does not have a geocache, and I ask your permission to place one there in my friend TJ's honor.
Do we have documentation on this?
I submitted a letter. I believe that you guys should have received it.
Okay, I'll look into this and we will be in touch, but we don't have any documentation from you, a letter. But
Okay.
have your name and your contact information and I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Would anyone else from the public wish to speak tonight? Raise your hand. Look around here. Second call. Anyone from the public wish to speak tonight? And third and final call. Anyone from the public who wishes to speak tonight? All right, seeing none, public session is closed. Moving on to public official session, Mayor Cassetti. Make sure he's unmuted. Mayor here?
Yeah, he's muted.
He's muted. All right. Mayor, you're muted.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Good evening, President Schuer, members of the Board of Aldermen, residents of the great city of Ansonia. First, I want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a wonderful Christmas season. I want everyone to stay safe and enjoy the holidays, even though restrictions may still be in place. I am hopeful we will get through this and prevail. I am thankful for residents who reached out to me in their time of need and just stay in touch. The greatest joy I have as mayor is communicating with my residents. And although it has been challenging, I still want you to know that I'm here for you. My staff has been busy writing grants and securing funding for Ansonia. We recently received $400,000 in HUD Small Cities funding for housing rehabilitation. Thank you to my staff for putting together another grant that has been funded. I know a lot of time and effort goes into these applications. Our low to moderate income residents oftentimes do not have the ability to make needed repairs to their homes. This grant will be a big help to them. Sheila, I know you will talk more about this later on. We also received the small but important grant from Avigrid UI to help develop one of the buildings at Ansonia Copper and Brass. Sheila and John can speak more about this after. I want to thank outgoing Fire Chief Mike Eman. He's wonderful. Chief Eman is finishing his second round of service to the Ansonia Fire Department. Chief, you have done us proud, and we have been fortunate to have you serve as chief for as long as you have. He is the only chief to serve 2 terms in 128 years. Mike has had a 34-year career with the Ansonia Fire Department, so please, let's have a round of applause for Chief Eman. We are pleased to announce the food bank and mask handout program at Nolan Field this Friday from 11 to 3. I would like for the aldermen, if they could make it to this, to come up to the Nolan Field so we can hand out the masks. We'll be giving out to the first 100 people to show up. We are pleased to partner with and want to thank David Morgan at Team, Bobby Tarr, and our Ansonia Board of Aldermen, Sharon Veroshak, and others who will be helping out with this. We will be handing out masks for the first 1,000 people to show up. My Mary Alderman and I, Santa Cassetti Claus, are partnering with our local business, Road Ready Inspectors Furniture, who will be taking the Toys for Ansonia children. You have until the 19th of December to donate toys. Road Ready is doing a 1-for-1 toy match. Anyone who comes in and donates a toy can fill out a form for a chance to win 5 free car detailing. I encourage everyone to drop by Road Ready Inspectors Furniture. Our virtual tree lighting will take place on December 10th at 6 o'clock. More details will be on our Facebook page. I hope you can all attend virtually. And then finally, I want to thank Marcia Benno for her years of service as Ansonia's assessor. We wish you the best of luck in your new job, Marcia. You did a wonderful job for the city of Ansonia. May God bless you all, and God bless the city of Ansonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. So since you mentioned Chief Mike Eman in your speech, and I see he's here tonight, I wanted to also commend him as the president of the Fire Commission. Chief Mike has been an absolute joy to work with for many years. Was the first person I met when I joined the Fire Commission about 4 years ago. Sat right next to him, asked him a lot of questions. I want to commend him on his expert handling of the COVID crisis. Every day, those guys are out there. Stores are closing, restaurants are closing, and these guys work every day. He's got a strong, definitive leadership style, and his men know and should know that he always has their safety as his number one priority. And we, the commissioners, of course, support him on that. And the reason I mention this is, decisive leaders make tough decisions. And I was disappointed personally seeing some of the social media criticism of the fire department recently. And I don't really want to focus on the negative because it's a happy holiday and look good times ahead. I just wanted to remind everyone, especially those in public official capacities, to be careful what you say. And we know that this is the greatest resource we have in the city of Ansonia is our fire department. Very proud of them. Chief Mike, congratulations. You've been a great leader. Before you, Chief Ed was awesome, and we're looking forward to Chief Dan coming in the door as well. So great job. But Chief, since you're here and you never come and you're a public official, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything. And if not, we'll move on. Chief Eamon?
Yes, if I can have 1 second of your time, I would just like to thank all of you for all the support over the last 20 years. You guys have always been there. You've always had our back. Mayor Cassetti, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for the whole department since you came in. We sat down the very first day. I think you sat in that office and we had a long discussion and you gave us your support, and that never wavered. And I thank you very much for that. I'd also like to, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank at least Mayor Del Volpe's administration also.
Right.
They always did very well with us.
Yep.
But I'd like to formally thank all the past commissioners and especially the current commissioners who, no matter what, we all had a discussion. There may have been things that we wavered on here and there, but we all came to an agreement and it was a united front. And I thank you for all the support over the last 20 years. I couldn't have done it without all of you. Thank you very, very much. May 2021 be much better than 2020 because we've all gone through hell and back. And I hope that I don't I'm not meaning any disrespect with that, but we need to stay together, bond as a group and not divide, because this is the disease is doing enough of that as it is. So may we all be safe and here in 2021 together. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. I mean, no one's been dealt the deck like you, man. So we appreciate it. All right, moving on. Corporation Counsel, John Marini.
Okay, Mr. President, members of the board. First, of course, I want to echo President Schuer and Mayor Cassetti's comments. Thank you, Mike, so much for your service. Congratulations. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you in that capacity. Obviously, you do the city proud. In terms of legal updates, I think the board knows we've had a lot of union negotiations going on. You are going to get the results of one of those negotiations coming to a meeting near you very shortly. Looks like the clerical contract will be coming before this board by January. We've reached a tentative agreement on most issues. The union's going to look it over, and this board will be looking over that contract as well, likely the second week of January. Of course, no contract is final until the Board of Aldermen approves it. And we'll try to get you a draft of that contract so you could sufficiently go through and review before January's meeting. Now we're working on the Public Works contract and continuing on the Arms part-timers contract. And in January, we'll likely make more progress on the City Hall supervisors contract. So a lot of contract negotiations. Co-Lane, I do see Superintendent DeBacco here. Co-Lane has been an interesting process. We've been working with the City of Derby to secure an easement that will allow us to create an access road for emergency access to Ansonia High School. The creation of that road does require work being done on Derby property. And we do anticipate the City of Derby will be considering a form of an easement this week at their Board of Aldermen meeting. And if that is approved, it'll likely come back before this board by no later than January for an acceptance. Although as soon as that easement is granted, the Board of Education will be able to go forward with the work necessary to pave that emergency road. Good news, Sheila may elaborate on this, but some good news to report finally on our Olson Drive project. As you know, this board has authorized the city's ability to purchase Olson Drive for the purpose of a redevelopment project. That had to go through HUD approval, and I'm happy to say that we've cleared the first step of the process. It's gone through environmental review at HUD. We've gotten a green light there. And the next final part of the process should take between 30 and 60 days to get the full approval from HUD to be able to purchase the property. And it's all about HUD being okay with potential future use, releasing the deed restriction that currently restricts the property to public housing only. So we'll have more of an update in January, but the first part of that is finally done. I also want to bring up a new issue. There's been PCB litigation against a company called Monsanto. And that's a company that manufactured PCB. It has connections to cities and towns all over the United States. There's been a class action filed against them. And actually right now they're in the settlement process, and there's been settlement amounts allocated to different cities and towns. Ansonia is actually one of them. So we're going to discuss this in more detail, likely at our next meeting, but we're going to look at it closely because there's an opportunity to accept a settlement or to actually continue litigation. And as you know, PCBs are contaminants that factor pretty heavily into a lot of the contamination, costly contamination that we deal with sites like Ansonia, Copper and Brass, and all our other formerly industrial environmental parcels. So that has a very significant impact on the city. We want to make sure that if there is an ability to be compensated for that damage, for that cost, that certainly we take full advantage of that. So we'll be talking more about that likely in January, but that's on the horizon. Also wanted to give you an update. I believe I told you last time that we were looking to intervene on the solar farm proposed for Ben Street. That, of course, is not before planning and zoning or city board. That's before the state siting council. And so it's a decision that will ultimately be made by the state. But as the city, we really wanted to have a seat at the table. So we filed to be an intervener officially. The developer did object to that, but we were successful. We were granted intervener status. And I'll be working with planning and zoning and our building officials and our city planner to propose some first interrogatories, some questions. Certainly would be happy to hear from this group as well, you know, in terms of what we want to hold the developer accountable for, safety issues, any visible effects, right, that may result from a development. And we will have an ability later on, if there's a physical hearing, to cross-examine the developer and also to file a brief in the matter for, against, or indicating our concerns. So we're going to have a seat at the table. We want to make sure that the project, if it is approved, ultimately by the siting council, is done in a responsible manner. And further, Sheila will elaborate, but on the Ansonia Police Station project, 65 Main Street, we're currently welcoming an owner's rep into the project for the final phases. The intention is to work through some of the contractor Banting Construction's change orders with an eye towards project completion in May, June. So as we go forward into the final stages, certainly we're keeping all eyes on the project to make sure we come in on time and on budget. And additionally, we'll be working with this group and our elderly commission and Alderman Stroman on looking at a finalized senior center plan, because of course a senior center component is critical to the projects, and we're very close to finalizing a budget and a final plan, but we of course want the seniors and the Board of Aldermen to weigh in before that goes out to bid. And of course the mayor's toy drive is going forward. Please remember, you can donate at Road Ready or Spectre. We're encouraging our aldermen to share their buys, and I have this wonderful toy we're going to donate. We got a Godzilla toy that we're very proud of that we're going to contribute to the pile at Road Ready tomorrow. And of course, spread the word because we don't have too much time. We only have till the 19th to round up the gifts and get them to the kids. I'll take any questions, but if not, Sheila has some updates that will tie into what I've set up.
Any questions for Corporation Counsel tonight?
Yes, I have one, Mr. President. Mr. Marini, did I understand you to say that we are, as the Board of Aldermen, have already given authorization to purchase Olson Drive when it becomes available?
We have, yes, we have actually talked about a specific purchase price for that property, but of course that was contingent on the ability to make the purchase. So that was a prior approval of the Board of Aldermen, but it, it was waiting on HUD authorization.
I'm probably putting you on a spot. You probably don't have it, but I was wondering if you could somehow communicate to us when exactly that was done, what meeting?
I believe it was approximately a year ago. I know it was not in 2020. I know it was in 2019, maybe the end of the summer, early fall, but I could certainly revisit the minutes and send them out to the entire board. That way everyone, the new members, understand where we are in the process and what was the correspondence.
That was a formal bid process that we went through.
And I'm not even talking about anything with respect to the development of the property. I'm talking about the city's intention to purchase it. That was a separate and distinct issue. And on that, I can get you the minutes and the correspondence.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Corporation Counsel tonight from the Alderman? All right, Economic Development Director, Sheila Omalley.
All right, thank you, President Stewart, members of the Ansonia Board of Aldermen. The mayor mentioned a couple of grants that we recently secured. One is small cities, which we did an announcement on Facebook. I just want to make everyone aware that we don't have applications at this point in time. We need to get permission to put out those applications, but as soon as we do, we're compiling a list of names, and we've got quite a few already that are looking to get some rehab money for their homes, which we're very happy about, to effectuate some change for people who are unable to afford those needed repairs to their homes. So that's a big win for us, $400,000, and we've been pretty successful in housing rehab money. I've spoken quite a bit about how we want to change moving forward. We want to do other things that qualify for low to mod income communities, such as sidewalks. The mayor's very interested in repairing sidewalks and improving the neighborhoods in the low to mod income neighborhoods. So hopefully we have an eye to that and start preparing for the next round of grants. The long awaited, I know there were some people who were very anxious for me to get out a master development plan. Well, that has been completed. It's about a 200-page document, which we will be sharing with everyone. We call it the North End Revitalization Plan, and it includes everything Ansonia, copper, and brass. So it's a thick document. It's a very detailed document, and has already been useful to me as we seek to secure more funding. But we are going to have a presentation on that, and John Marini and I will be talking more about that in the weeks to come. And so it's actually good that we also talking about the Avangrid UI grant. Avangrid, I guess, is a subsidiary. But they gave us a small grant, but it's an important grant because it begins the process of looking at one of the buildings on the Ansonia Copper and Brass site, which is the extrusion mill, which the engineers, after examining the structural integrity of that building, have determined that that could be salvageable. And that's an enormous building. And And if there's one thing that Ansonia needs is it's manufacturing space. We get quite a few requests and we don't have the space to accommodate people. So if we can do something with that building, and that's the beginning of it, we're appreciative of the grant, and we're going to work our way towards getting some money to rehab or renovate that building. So that's exciting as well. I'll give you a quick rundown of what's going on with our Main Street projects, 497 and 153. 497 East Main and 153 Main Street. In 153, interior demolition has been completed. The heavy demolition is going out to bid. That is through the developer. It's not a city project, it's a developer project, but heavy demolition includes things such as elevator shafts, the bridge that connects the two buildings that you see from the exterior, staircases in the middle of the buildings, windows, roofing. That's all considered to be heavy demolition, and that has gone out to bid last week, and they expect to award the bid shortly. So you will see some exterior demolition now that the interior is completed. The mechanicals, electrical, and plumbing specs have been received for 153, and they're going out to bid for subs on that project. All the electricians, the plumbers, and all the mechanical engineers that they need. That's what they're doing right now. The mayor may have mentioned a restaurant, a new chain restaurant that's coming into downtown Ansonia. And they have their own footprint and their own subcontractors, and they build to their own specs because they're sort of not cookie cutter, but there's a template that they all use for this popular restaurant. And they are out to qualified bidders, looking to qualified bidders for their project. They have their own architects and engineers, and they do their own renovations. So you also see that occurring in 497 and 153. Let's see. Did I miss anything? I think that's about it for now. John talked about Olson Drive. We're just looking for the Special Application Center to approve our application for a disposition, which means we can acquire the property. And I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, happy to answer them. Very happy to answer them.
Are there any questions from the Alderman or Sheila tonight?
It's Tony. I just have two comments. One, Sheila, nice job on the $400,000 grant. Congratulations on that. And then
Thanks,
secondly,
Tony.
just a comment on the, driving by the police station, the tower is looking pretty good. It looks like they have the beams covered, and a lot of progress is moving. It seems like almost a daily thing that there's something new and moving along there. So great progress on that as well.
Yep, it is moving along. The project is about 65-70% complete right now. And John mentioned we're looking at a May deadline. And with the owner's rep, that's going to be their driving force. They're going to work to complete the change orders within the amount we have allotted, and to complete the project as soon as possible. So there'll be a lot of pressure on the people involved, and that's a good thing. So thank you. I saw you go like this, Tony. I thought you were saying cut it, Sheila.
No, my chain was
okay, just fixing your shirt.
Chain was twisted in my shirt.
Okay. All
Any
right.
comments or questions for Sheila tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Yes.
Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, listen, 35 North Main Street, I guess that's what it's called now, right?
Yes, sir.
What's happening?
So all of the asbestos has been cleaned up to the satisfaction of EPA and DEP. In fact, we have a conversation with EPA this week, and once we get the green light, we're putting together the specs for the demolition, and we'll be out to bid this winter for the demolition and cleanup.
Good, so we won't see steel dropping probably until the spring. Is that the way I read that?
Oh, no, sir, they can demo in the winter.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're building specs at this point. Is that what I understand?
Oh, I think you will see demolition this winter.
Oh, all right. It's something to look forward to besides the snow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't say the S word, Mr. Phipps.
Yeah, I
please.
know. 4-letter words are not nice.
Christmas and demolition. Diane, did you have a question as well?
Yeah, Sheila, I just want to know, next to Massiminos, what's going there? Looks like there's being done there.
Are you talking about the, it used to be like an antique place or a.
Cleaners or something, whatever it was there at one point.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't come in with a site plan yet. I know they're inside doing some, I'm not exactly sure what they're doing inside, but looks like they had plans to do some sort of a coffee shop. I don't know if they're following through on that, but I don't know. We'll find out and report back to you guys. It's a good question. I don't know who owns the building. I believe the people who own the social club in downtown Ansonia bought the building.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Other questions, comments? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Next up, we have the Finance Department. Kurt, I saw him here.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to apologize for missing last month's Alderman meeting. Not a good way to start off my career here, but unfortunately I came down with COVID. So back up and on my feet, catching up now. So I wanted to go through the report that I've put in place. What I've done is breaking it down into two sets of priorities. The first is a financial set of priorities, and the second is a human resource related set of priorities. So I'll go through the financial ones first. Obviously, the biggest and first priority we have is the budget process. So I've reached out to all department heads to ask them to have their budget and capital requests into me by Monday, December 21st. So they are all currently working on that now. The expectations for the budget, we'll have the preliminary budget draft ready for Monday, January 11th. The 90% budget draft expected for Monday, January 25th. And the projected presentation of the mayor's budget is going to be Tuesday, February 9th. That's contingent on two things. One, the grand list being complete and certified. Without that, the mayor's budget at that point is simply going to be an estimation until we have that. And then also a good understanding of health insurance renewals, but I'll provide updates to you as we're moving forward. Second priority is the capital planning, and we're going to look at two different types going forward. There's going to be a 5-year capital plan, which is going to be made up of large ticket items like fire trucks, dump trucks, and other major capital projects like roads and things like that. We're going to build that funding directly into the budget and make it reoccurring. There are certain instances where we would bring bonding into play for that, but we're going to try to pay for things in cash or using short-term borrowing as opposed to bonding and putting extra pressure on our budgets long-term. This will be updated each year. Input will be taken from the department heads, and the final approval will obviously rest with the mayor and the Board of Aldermen. And it will have its own section in the budget, so we'll be able to identify what we'll be purchasing in the current fiscal year, and then we'll also have a section that will identify the 4 outlying years so people can have an understanding of what's going on. The second part of that will be the annual reoccurring plan, which is designed for smaller items or those that are turned over quickly, like cars and technology equipment. Again, funding is going to be built into the budget and reoccurring. We'll never use bonding or borrowing for anything like this. These are things that we'll pay for in cash each year. The plan is reoccurring, so it will continue to roll over each year. And these pieces of equipment will be part of the individual budgets. So we'll go through and we'll identify each one of those once the plan is approved by the alderman and the mayor each year. Third priority is the debt service and fund balance. We're going to go through a process to establish goals and priorities for both through approved policies. Oh, and I apologize, the capital plan will be presented as well with the budget on Tuesday, February 9th. I apologize for that. So the debt and service and fund balance, we're going to establish the goals and priorities for both through approved Board of Aldermen policies. So I will put these policies together and I will bring them to you for discussion and sign off. We're currently in the process of a full evaluation of all of the city's existing debt as well as the WPCA debt, looking for opportunities due to the lower interest rate environment for potential savings. Recommendations for upcoming rollover for the existing bans and other outstanding debt we are currently working on now. As we all know, we have about $11 million outstanding that is currently in bans or bond anticipation notes. We're going to need to make a decision on how to handle those going forward. And I expect to have a presentation for you to discuss all of this at your next meeting on Tuesday, January 12th. Regionalization, we're exploring all the opportunities with surrounding communities as well as other valley entities. One of the things I know you're going to talk a little bit about tonight, I believe, is arms and going out for RFP and how we can handle our BLS and ALS support for the city in an ongoing fashion. We're looking at all staffing and services that the city offers. Again, so we're trying to see what opportunities may exist. We're looking at specific opportunities for intra-regionalization with the Board of Ed as well where possible. Superintendent DeBacco and I have not been able to hook up yet because my illness being out for a month, but we do have a meeting on the books for the end of the week. We're going to spend some time talking about some different opportunities where we can utilize the strength of the city to benefit the Board of Ed and the strength of the Board of Ed to benefit the city and how that all comes together. The goal of regionalization, excuse me, is to provide improved service and end product to the residents while maintaining current budget levels or reducing them. So when we talk about regionalization, we're not necessarily just talking about saving money. If we could present something to the residents that is budget neutral but provides them extra services, that's a home run. So as an example, we can keep the budget for the library level but have the library open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Obviously, that's of tremendous value to the residents. So those are things that we're looking at. So it's not just about cutting costs or saving money. It's about doing that, but also trying to have a better end product for the residents. So I expect to have the first set of recommendations to you on Tuesday, July 12th, and others will come forward each board meeting as we move forward. The fifth priority is purchasing. The new Infinite Vision system is almost fully operational. The finance department has been working very hard over the last couple months getting this up and running. So they've certainly done a great job there. Training is taking place with the department heads on new procedures for purchase orders through the system. We are trying to retrain the staff to make sure that they are properly following the purchase process. So once this training takes place, which was today and we'll finish up tomorrow, we're going to have the department heads come in one at a time. They're going to sit down with the finance staff, go over any specific nuances that their department has, and then we'll have a set plan moving forward. This new process that's being put in place will allow for better budgetary control and quicker reporting and analysis. A lot of the tools that the Infinite Vision system has will give me the opportunity to do these deep dives that you folks would like me to do, and I'll have all that information right at my fingertips. The expected completion is ongoing and will continue through at least the spring until we're fully up and running 100%. And then the final priority is the strategic fiscal plan that we'll be putting together, which will map out step by step the plan to overhaul the city's finances in a systematic and organized fashion. We're going to do a full deep dive of the city's overall financial health compared to existing benchmarks of the rating agencies and other financial standards. We're going to review all the city's policies and procedures. It will be a continued 3-year outlook that is updated annually, and that'll be presented in front of the Board of Aldermen each year by myself and the mayor. So the aldermen will certainly be able to weigh in, as will both. The biggest thing is it will have short and long-term defined goals, so people will be able to see how we're progressing right away, and it will be easily communicated to the public at large. So the goal for these plans to be successful is something that the residents understand. They can see successes with the short-term goals, and that they understand how it leads to our longer-term goals. And overall, they have a good understanding of where we're trying to get to. The expected draft presentation is going to be Tuesday, April 13th for that. It's going to take about 6 months or so to get that all put together. So those are the financial priorities. One of the other pieces that I've been charged with is human resource priorities. So I'm going to go through those. As City Attorney Marini mentioned, contract negotiations are ongoing. I kind of came in at the tail end of these, but I could say from what I've seen, they seem to be going extremely well. I think there's a lot of good dialogue back and forth between the city and the unions. I expect that we'll be wrapping 1 or 2 of those up in the coming weeks, and those will be in front of you, as John had mentioned. The personnel files, the priority we placed on those. All personnel files are now stored in my office. If you could turn to the side, maybe you can see kind of right, if I move my hand right there. I currently have 35 boxes in my office. I'd like to thank Mike on his last day as fire chief for bringing those boxes to me. So I'll be working through those, but it's going a little slower than I had anticipated because we're trying to review each file to make sure that it has everything that it's needed. We're trying to divide existing employees versus retired employees and so on and so forth, but it's been given a lower priority. We can certainly find things if we need them. So again, as long as they're here, we can get the information that we need. So I'm hoping to have all these files completed by the end of March. Job descriptions, a review and update of all job descriptions. As the jobs with the city that people are doing have evolved over time, we need to make sure that the descriptions match current work and skill levels. Some updates may require union sign off while others don't. Again, this is a lower priority, but expected to be completed by the end of June. The new hire process, which will start immediately. We're going to change the way we hire. We're going to start off with initial screening of candidate pool done through HR. We'll do a resume review and phone screens to get a list of candidates. The screened candidates will move to a committee of job-specific experts to discuss in-depth knowledge. So as an example, we have the assessor's position, which is currently open. So what I'd like to do is reach out to the Connecticut Assessors Association, ask for 3 or 4 assessors that would be willing to first review all the resumes and applications that come in, narrow that down to a group of 6 or 7, have them lead the interviews with city staff just behind and listening. At that point, I would like that group of product experts to make a recommendation to the city staff of 3, the top 3 candidates. At that point, those 3 candidates would come in, they would sit with city staff, they would sit with the mayor for a discussion to see how they would fit. And then at that point, the mayor would recommend to the Board of Aldermen the top candidate for your final review and approval. And again, we'd like to get that up and running immediately. Workflow and staffing levels is the next priority. We're doing a full analysis of staff roles and responsibilities to make sure we're maximizing the skill and potential of our employees. There's a book that some of you may have read that I'm a big believer in. That's the book called Good to Great. You know, everybody talks about getting the right people on the bus. Well, that's important. What's more important is making sure the people are in the right seats on the bus. So a lot of times you have very talented people, but their talent may be wasted in the current position that they're in. So we're in the process of going through and kind of analyzing who we have, what they're doing. Are there places where they could be stronger? And if so, how can we potentially move those people around? I would like to say that during the pandemic, You know, the small sampling that I've seen with the staff has been excellent. They're all willing to pitch in and help out. They're willing to move around. You know, we have some folks from the library, as an example, that are coming over to City Hall and helping out. We have some of the custodial staff that's moving around. So they're being very accommodating, trying to do what they can to help the city get through this process. But you know, this workflow and staffing levels could change depending on regionalization and how that goes and the way we look at things. But again, I expect to have the first set of recommendations to you by Tuesday, February 9th, excuse me. Just 3 more, I promise, and then I'll be done. Onboarding process and termination process. We're going to set up a formal process for both of these events. So there'll be standardized process for all employees starting and ending employment with the city. The onboarding would include all required forms and training that is needed. As an example, the city is going through sexual harassment training now. An employee's first day after they checked in with their hiring manager, they would come to City Hall. We would sit down with them. We would fill out all the necessary forms, all the appropriate paperwork, benefits, everything else. And then any training that might need to be done, whether it be sexual harassment, OSHA, what have you, we'll have them go through all that, and then they will go back. So we'll try to get that all out of the way on the first day. Same thing with the termination process, and that could be resignation, retirement, or firing. We'd like to return of all equipment, keys, etc., as well as the completion of any needed paperwork prior to receiving their final paycheck. So I'd like to switch the final paycheck to a paper version. So then the employee would come in, they would go through this process. Once everything is checked off and completed, at that point, they would receive their final paycheck. I expect to present to you this information on Tuesday, January 12th. Time off and PTO accounting. We're making some changes to that. We've already done so to provide for a more detailed and accurate accounting of all time taken off. Currently, time taken off is tracked by the departments themselves, which I have an issue with. So we're bringing that into the finance department now. We received reports from all of departments, and now all requests come through my office. So that way the time off can be tracked. It's cross-checked against the timesheets, and then we keep a running tally. When the assessor left, as an example, it was a little bit of a process to determine what her payout was for her bank time. So I'd rather get ahead of that, to know that right away. The biggest thing about this is if we know what these are, we can start accruing money specifically for these payouts. I know that Rich over the years has been trying to do that to the best of his ability and squirreling money away. We don't have near enough. We have a lot of people with a lot of bank time, and should we have any type of mass retirement or 4 or 5 people retire at the same time, we could put the city in some financial peril. So we need to continue working on that. But that is going to be tied, hopefully, with some automation that we're looking at, specifically with Paychex, which is our current payroll system. We're looking to expand what we currently have to increase automation and to improve the workflow. We're looking to add an HR component that deals specifically with time off requests, as well as a time clock. So that way people don't have to fill out forms. Everything would be automated. Each person would have their own intra website, which they can go in. They would clock in each day with their comings and goings. They would request time off through that. Everything would be done electronically, all of the verifications and the approvals and so on and so forth. Rich and I are working with the vendor now. We did have a phone call with them last week, but now we're going to get into the technical weeds part of it, which Rich is going to lead that process, obviously. So that's something that we expect to complete as quickly as possible and get up and running as quickly as possible, depending on any budget constraints we may face. So those are the, we'll call it the 14 priorities that I will specifically be working on besides the day-to-day functions of the finance department. But there are 7 other areas of review that we will start to work on in the near future as we start to check some of these things off. Number 1 is a full vendor review. I think it makes sense for the city to have preferred vendors, and there's a process that we should go through to make sure that we are getting the best pricing. I think we should work with the city engineer to create a proactive road program. So that way we can identify roads and put them in some order make that available to the public. That way residents can have an understanding as to where their road falls, so on and so forth. We should have citywide inventories of all of our technology as well as all of our non-technology. I think that is extremely important. I think we need to start lay the foundation of a citywide strategic plan, an all-encompassing plan as to how you folks would like to see the city move forward over the next 10 years. I think it would be prudent for the aldermen to consider appointing a committee to start that process and kind of take that vision and move it forward. We should start looking at an OPEB trust fund to start to address some of our outstanding liabilities. And the final thing, which is going to probably take a year, Rich and I have already been talking a little bit about this, is actually reconstructing the budget, changing its current style and format to give it a little bit more detail and to make the budget a little bit more user-friendly. So the average resident could pick up the budget and without much difficulty be able to understand what it is. You know, in my opinion, I think that the document itself should be 60 or 70 pages, and it should not just be the budget itself. I think there should be more information from us to be putting out to the residents, as well as a simple glossary of terms. I mean, the terms that we throw around that we all understand, the average resident may not. So again, I would like to present a document for fiscal year 23 that kind of is all encompassing, again, that the average resident can pick up and just go from there. So I apologize. This was a lot of stuff to throw at you all at one time, but again, being out with COVID has kind of thrown me off a little bit. So Mr. President, with that, I'll turn it back over to you and see if there's any questions or comments.
Thank you for that detailed update. Are there any questions for Kurt Miller from the Alderman tonight?
Yes, I have one, Josh. I have a couple, actually.
There you go.
First of all, Kurt, are you planning on posting that assessor's job? Isn't that a union job that has to be posted?
Well, one of the things we're going to look at as part of the regionalization process is to see if there could be an opportunity for regionalization with another community. If you look at the role of the assessor, and one of the issues that I know the city of Ansonia has dealt with, you've had an assessor and an assistant assessor, but you have not had the ability to actually get someone out on the road as much as needed. And the thing that I've noticed over the last 2 years is that there seems to be a lot of, we'll call them open tickets as an example. So if two towns were to regionalize the assessor's office as an example, if you had one assessor, you had two assistants, and then you had one person whose only job it was to get out and to, you know, look at all the new buildings all the new building that's going on, constantly checking on all of these updates, what you'd see was a drastic increase in your grand list. And having those conversations with Marcia, that was the biggest issue that she had, just not having the time. So, you know, we're going to look at a model like that to see if potentially it makes sense. If it does not, then that job would be posted. We actually sat down with the mayor, John and Sheila today, and we put a process in place where we will look at the regionalization component over the next couple weeks. And if that's not going to work, that position we expect to be posted right after the first of the year. And then we would go through that normal hiring process. And it is a union position.
Okay. Is there anyone filling in at this time for Marcia that is certified?
As of now, there's not. Marcia just left on Friday.
Okay.
We are working with her assistant now. We're going to provide her some overtime hours each week to see how much of the grand list she can complete. To Marcia's credit, she did do a pretty good job taking it as far as she possibly could. We have reached out to other communities in the area to see if their assessor would be available in a pinch if we needed to sign off, and we do have that support available to us. So it'll all kind of unfold over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, they have to be certified, I gather, correct?
Yes, to sign up on the
Have
ground.
to be certified to sign off, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that has to be done by the end of January, is that correct?
The grand list is due by the end of January, yes, unless you file for an extension.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Any other
Thank
questions
you.
for Kurt tonight from the Alderman? All right, you're off the hook.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. Police Chief Coda. I saw him earlier. Is he still here?
I am here. Good evening, everyone. All right, I will give you an update. Mike Eman, I'd like to say congratulations and thank you for your service. Before I move forward, I know we talk quite often. I'm sure we'll continue those conversations, but good luck and thank you for your time and as chief. Okay, because of our meeting, we didn't have one last month. We had the election patrols. Obviously, we had an election. We had officers that were keeping an eye on the polling places. Happy to announce that we did not have any problems anywhere to report. So we continue to monitor that to make sure there were no issues. Recently, the Board of Police Commissioners approved a new hire with the approval of the mayor, a certified officer from New Haven Police Department that's going to be retiring after 17 years of service, David Acosta. He is going to be coming on board at the end of the month for us to fill one of our empty spots. Our winter parking ban has begun December 1st. We put out notices until the end of last week. So our officers are out there dealing with that and also ticketing as required to deal with any parking violations in the event that we get snow. Public Works will be able to get through the streets. Last weekend, well, almost 2 weeks ago now, we investigated a single motorcycle accident, fatal motor vehicle accident on the East Main Street and North Main Street. We've documented quite a bit. We continue to investigate that, but it does appear as though it was a single vehicle accident. So we are working on that. I asked Darlene from Public Works to make sure she gets out some postings that Naugatuck Valley Health Department has sent out for us for COVID testing sites, not only at Griffin, but other places that they have once, I think Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays in different locations in the state to help anyone that's in town that's looking for some testing if they need it for themselves or their family. And also, as we've spoken in the past, I'm starting to receive some data and some updates from the state regarding the police accountability bill as it relates to mental health assessments, some policy requirements, as well as body cameras and in-car cameras. So we continue to work on that. I'm in touch with our mental health consultants that we use, our employee assistance planning company out of Hamden that we use to set up the mental health screenings that are going to be required, that are required by the state of Connecticut. So we're working on that, finalizing a plan there to make sure officers are able to avail themselves of any potential help that they may need as they move through their careers. Again, as I said, we continue. I'm trying to prepare some costs that are associated with this police accountability bill, which I had a meeting the other day with the local Valley chiefs. We're all in the same boat. We're trying to get as much information as possible, but we are waiting for Connecticut Police Academy to continue to get us some more information so we can refine what's going to be required. So I will keep you updated on that. We believe that the health assessments at this point, we're estimating, we believe they're going to be about $200 per officer. In order to comply with the law, we expect there to be about 10 officers per year that'll be required to go to be able to get all of our officers through this required screening over the course of 5 years. And that's what the bill requires. So we'll move toward that. So on average, we expect it to be about, at this point, about $2,000 per year to do these processes, the mental health screenings as required. As I get more, I'm waiting for a couple final costs for body cameras. As you know, we already have them, but we have to increase the amount that we have to comply with the law. And in-car cameras, there's a substantial cost associated with that. And I will advise as we move forward, get firm numbers. And that is what I have at this moment, unless someone has some questions for me.
Are there any questions for Chief Coda tonight from the Alderman?
Hey, Chief, it's Tony. I have just a quick question. Do you anticipate any of the accountability bill expenses to show up in your budget plan that you're going to deliver to Kurt?
Yeah, I believe so. So it looks as though just for the mental health screenings as an example, those are calendar year. So depending on how I set those up, I may be able to get some from this current budget and some from the next budget, but I most likely will put it in for the next budget. As far as the drug testing / steroid testing that's going to be required, that is going to be required for anybody that's getting recertified. And our certifications run like our budget runs July to June. So there may be something I have to do in this budget, but we're waiting to determine how the state is going to handle recertifications because of COVID. They gave us some extensions for this year. So we're moving toward that. Most of the stuff I anticipate will be in the next budget. The in-car cameras and the body camera updating numbers will most likely, that is due, I believe that's to be implemented by May or June of 2022. So yes, I expect that would be some sort of capital expenditure plan for the next budget.
Okay. And just kind of a segue question, Kurt, do we have at least eyes into including that in the plan that we have going forward, not only for this year, but for the, the further, forecasts that we have?
We're starting to put those in. Again, there's still some uncertainty, but it's something that I'll work closely with the chief on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Chief Cota and the Alderman? All right,
Yeah,
thank you, Chief. Oh, sorry, Chicago? Go ahead.
Yeah. Chief, I just want to thank you for the help that we got over here in the 5th Ward on them cars. And Chief Enan, I just want to say thank you, and it was good working with you. And just know all of the fire departments, you have our support. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Next up, Dr. DeBacco, Superintendent of Schools. I saw him here. Would you like to address us?
Yes, I would. And I thank you, President Shore, for the opportunity. First, Mike Eman, I want to say thank you. We had an unfortunate situation and we had to put a graduation ceremony together. And I asked Mike Eman, could we have some fire trucks escort the kids? And he just said, how many, how much, what could I do? And that's typical Ansonia, but it's typical Mike. And Mike, I thank you very much for your service in making it a safer place, but also making it a special day for our students that day. So I appreciate it very much. Next, I do want to thank the mayor and the aldermen for your support regarding 2 issues, the Eversource gas issue that we had to work through, and also the closing of schools, which everyone knows is a very difficult decision. It's not something that we took lightly, but it's something that I'm sure everyone around the table, I mean, talking to the mayor almost every time we had another COVID situation of some kind, it was something that was inevitable. But I do want all the aldermen to know that the hope is we get back in safely and get our students back in. We know that is the place for them to be, but the safety of overall of the community is paramount. On a positive note, I know there's more information that's going to follow, but we were able to partner with the workplace in Bridgeport, and we secured a workforce grant of $1.9 million over 4 years for students in the community or people in the community aged 16 to 24. More information is going to follow as they're going to roll out. It's Joe Carbone from the workplace has been great working with us, and Dennis Proto on our side, and Eileen Eman. We should be putting out some more information how we could recalibrate people's skill set to meet the needs of the workforce that we're seeing right now, mostly in manufacturing. But once again, that's pretty substantial for us. And Kurt Miller is correct. We have not been able to connect, but we have a meeting this week. And I do want to echo some of the things about regarding efficiencies and effectiveness and some redundancies. I like the fact that we are both using Infinite Visions. Just so you know, if we ever want to partner up, we're using Time Clocks Plus, which is also helping us with our clocking people in. Personnel, same things, Kurt. We're going over job descriptions, looking at universal benefit sheets and universal term sheets. We're looking at our personnel files and file retention schedules. Hopefully, if any of the departments are like us, we have files going way back that we could start to purge and destroy some files and then move everything to the cloud to look at some efficiencies. But besides that, I appreciate the support during this time, and also to echo the comments of the mayor. I hope everyone has a blessed holiday and they stay safe. But if anyone has any questions, I'm here to answer, and hopefully I could help.
Any questions for Dr. DeBacco from the Alderman? Just blurt it out if you do. Anybody?
Yes, I do. I have a comment, President.
Yep, Alderman Rivers, go ahead.
Joe, you're doing a good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're trying.
All right.
I'll echo that sentiment. It's not an easy decision to make, and I'm sure you probably go underground when you make the decision that you do. But
Right.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike DeLessio, Superintendent of Public Works. Is he here? I thought I saw him before.
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me, Josh?
Yes. How you doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good.
Okay. I'll make it brief tonight. It's been a while since I've been on. We got the plow trucks finally ready to go. We had a couple that were broken down. We just got them repaired. So I got the salt shed full, salt, sand. Trucks are ready to go, so we're ready for the season. The guys are out picking up leaves right now, cleaning catch basins, trimming trees, doing garbage, picking up papers. We have a staggered shift right now because of the COVID, so we have kind of short-handed, but we're getting things done. I'm glad we kind of split shifts up because we had one or two guys test positive, so that crew went home, quarantined for the week, and we had the other crew there to take over. So it's working out pretty good. Hopefully nobody else gets it. We're trying to be safe, put the guys in separate trucks. They're wearing their masks, their PPE, they're spraying their trucks down. So we're doing the best we could, but we're out there every day. Transfer station's open every day. Residents are coming in with leaves, brush. I think they're cleaning the yards because people are not going to work. So we're overwhelmed with the transfer station. But other than that, things are moving along pretty good, and we're changing street signs. PD's always got a bunch of signs for us to do, so I have one of our guys out there changing street signs and installing stop signs. And other than that, we're doing pretty well. Trying to purchase a couple trucks. I'm not sure if you guys need to vote on it, but there's some referendum money left over from a boiler we put at Public Works, and some roofs we put on our pump stations. There's a good amount of money left over. So I got a couple proposals on a pickup truck that I need desperately. One of our pickups I had to take off the road. The body's rotted right off of it. So we're short of pickup. We're short of mason dump. So I'm trying to purchase two vehicles. And it looks like we have the money left over in referendum between the boiler for Public Works and the pump station roofs. Looks like we got about 150,000 left over that we didn't spend. So I'm hoping maybe we can get this money transferred into a line so we can purchase these two vehicles. Other than that, I'll take any questions you guys have.
Great. Any questions for Mike tonight?
Yeah, I've got one, Josh. Mike, up at Nolan Field, on the corner of the parking lot, next to the tennis court, I saw a great big shrine or something, with those votive candles in
Yes.
the corner there. And I was wondering couldn't figure out what was it. I didn't know anybody who died, so I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, I guess they had a shrine set up. One of the kids that played ball and all passed away, and they had a little ceremony there. I picked up all the glass candles, so this way the kids didn't get hurt there.
You're right.
But there was a shirt that the kid, I guess, wore. I left it on the fence. So whoever wants to go up there and look at it, they could. But I got rid of all them candles and glass before the kids started smashing them in the parking lot,
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got one more.
Sure. Okay.
I think the wind, that last windstorm we had, it looks like it blew part of the 497 East Main Street fence across the sidewalk. And that's where it's sitting, catching leaves now. I suppose maybe we should probably go and move it back.
Oh,
It's blocking the sidewalk.
I know, you always got portable fences they put up for
Yeah,
demolition.
exactly, yeah.
I'll take care of that tomorrow, Bill.
Yeah, it looks like the wind blew it, I think. Probably
Yeah,
wasn't secured.
Yeah, I haven't noticed it, but I'll handle that tomorrow. I'll split it
Okay.
back in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the Alderman for Mike tonight? Last call. All right. Did I miss anyone? I think that's it for the public official session.
No, that's Dave Blackwell's trying to get on.
Is he on here? Where is he? Dave Blackwell?
Yes, yes, can you see me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Dave Blackwell, CEO of the city of Ansonia. And I'd like to address the board tonight as an issue that I'm having with a property located at 83 Cottage Avenue. Okay, this is, for most of us would recognize it as the old Lincoln School. You know, the building was sold to a private developer with stipulations that were placed on it by this board. And they were also filed on land records. And it's also part of their Schedule A, which is their warranty deed. Okay, and in that document, it states that a majority of the apartments, I'm not sure the percentage, I don't have it with me, but a majority are to be owner occupied. Okay, and that an association would be formed and that would have to continue. So in the event that developer went bankrupt, another developer bought it. So right now, the current problem is that most of the apartments have been bought out by this developer from the homeowners, and now it's becoming a rental building. Okay, with that being said, there is one tenant in there or person that owns the condo. She's the only one paying into the association. At this time, this is our third winter going with no heat. And, you know, this will be her second summer with no air conditioning, as the association has no money to fix these items. So what I'm asking is for the board to let me know as to how we're going to address this problem. I've reached out to, you know, Naugatuck Valley Health Department, you know, and it's an owned building. So they, you know, it's considered a single family unit. So there's no help that they can get there. But at some point, this lady needs heat, and she's upholding, you know, the agreement that she's made. And so I'm wondering if this board can help me address this issue, since all the stipulations were put in place by this board as far as the sale of the property and the use of the property.
Dave, can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Dave, first of all, this person who owns these other condos that are renting them out, why is it this person is not paying into association? If he owns the condos, shouldn't he or she be paying into this association? It seems to me like he's breaking all the rules, or she, whoever it may be. I think it's a terrible thing to do to someone. This woman don't deserve to live like that. No one does. And if he's breaking what the Alderman agreed on, and there must be a way that we can force this person to do the right thing, and maybe our corporate counsel can look into this and see what legal action we could take towards this person.
So I was gonna say, we probably refer this back to examine, there's gotta be a contract then, Dave, so can we refer this to Corporation Counsel to dig into and get back to you for next month?
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, we want to support your work you're doing, so thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Yep.
All right. I think that's the end of public official session, correct? All right. I forgot at the beginning to approve the minutes. We had minutes from the previous meeting before the cancellation in November. I was hoping we could circle back to that, the October 5th minutes, and I was hoping we could approve those.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Alderman Betty, second by Alderman Mamone.
John Marini first on this?
All in favor?
Yeah, he knows.
Aye.
He knows what's going on.
So did he give any recommendations? He told you to go to the Board of Aldermen?
Mr. Blackwell, you're not muted.
All right, so that passes. So moving on to committee reports. Finance Committee. Charlie, hit it.
Pay all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure.
Pay of all bills if found to be correct.
Second.
Motion by Stowe, second by Mamone. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Are there any other committee reports? Anyone have any updates for us? Yes, no? All right, keep moving on. Municipal report. So BOAT did not meet in December, but we do have the municipal report from the November 2nd BOAT meeting, with the BOAT recommendations and comptroller approvals. Anyone? Bueller.
I make a motion that the report be accepted.
Motion to accept by Alderwoman Stroman. Do we have a second?
Second that motion. Oop.
Second by Mamone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Moving on, the land use report. Let's see. October land use report. October land use report. Revenue of $49,936.74. Anyone?
Motion to accept.
Oh, there it
Motion by Yaman, second by Mamone. All
Sure.
in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, so we have one tax collector report from November. And I wanted to just to publicly acknowledge that Johanna's done a really good job. Every time we've asked for more information, she continues to give us more and more information in the tax report. But we have a motion to accept the November tax collector report.
I'll make that motion and also second your comments on the outstanding job that she's doing and getting the information. It's almost like each time we ask her for the info, we get more and more. So it's the reporting is really good. The graphs are good. Even her summary notes are on par where they need to be. So nice job.
Good motion by Mamone. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Stroman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. We have two requests for refunds. We have the November refunds in the amount of $8,289.23.
I make a motion.
Motion by Alderman Rivers.
Second.
Second by Alderman Yaman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, perfect. Motion passes. And then the second report is the December request for refunds in the amount of $4,859.16.
Make a motion. Second.
Motion by Yaman, second by Mamone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes again. Thank you, guys. Moving on, we have under accidents and claims, we have 4 claims.
Motion to refer to Corp Council.
Motion by Yaman, second by Rivers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we'll pass those on to Corporation Counsel. We have two communications. The first one is from me. This was on the agenda for last month and got bumped. We didn't have the meeting. And I'm looking for two separate motions on this because there's two nominations. The first one, when you go out with the old, Chief Eman, come in with the new or in with the old again. We have a nomination by the Webster Hose Company number 3 for Ken Pollock to become the new 4th Assistant Chief.
I'll make that motion, Josh.
Motion by Alderman Yaman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Alderman Cassetti. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Ken. I see you're here.
Congrats, Ken.
Ken.
Secondly, we have a nomination by the Charters Hose Company number 4 for David Vieira to become a member of the Fire Police.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Alderman Yaman,
Second.
second by Alderman Rivers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously, and congratulations, David, as well. Thank you, guys. So the second communication, Mike DeLesio mentioned this in his update. This was the request to transfer leftover referendum money to, and this is, Mike is still here, correct? And this came from Mike and Sheila Omalley.
Yes, I'm still here.
Good. You want to address that?
Yeah, that's the leftover money that we saved some money on our heating system and our roofs, which was good. So the leftover money, if we can transfer it into our truck lines, so we could purchase these 2 vehicles. We're in dire need of vehicles. It's like I'm driving around an old Jeep with a broken window in it, and the guys don't have enough vehicles. So we do need this pickup truck and this dump truck desperately. If we can have this money transferred over so I can purchase these vehicles, it'd be great.
Josh, where is that communication?
That came last month.
Letter, there was a letter.
And it carried over to this month. It was on the November, so it was in the November packet and it got sent to the December.
And this referendum money is all for public works. So you're changing the use of it, but you're not changing the category. So it does need Board of Aldermen approval. I'm just hoping to, yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to move those funds based on Mike's communication, assuming that the funds are still in the lines as noted by Mike and confirmed by finance.
I second it.
Motion by Mamone, second by Phipps. Any discussion on this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Yep. Good luck, Mike.
Good luck with that.
Big help.
We have one resignation from Susan Rano from the Elderly Commission. Anyone?
Motion to accept and send her a letter of thank you.
Motion from Alderman Yaman,
Second.
second by Alderman Stroman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Moving on. So next up we have the JCI trolls, and I think we have Kurt and Aaron from there, correct? Discuss this. Aaron Alibro.
Yes,
Yep.
Aaron,
Yep.
Aaron
He's
Alibrio
on.
is here from Johnson Controls.
So do you guys want to brief us on that?
Yeah, one of the things, that we identified as an issue, and I know this is something that's been brought up to you in the past, is how we could be reinvesting in our infrastructure and doing it with the least impact to our residents. So when I was in Seymour, this is a project that we undertook where we used the energy efficiency that we're able to get through Johnson Controls, take that money and reinvest it back into our buildings. I certainly learned a few things in Seymour, what to do, what not to do. So now having the opportunity here in Ansonia, I think it makes a ton of sense, because again, we have older infrastructure, buildings that are in need of repair, and this gives us a way to do that with no impact to the residents. The good thing that we're dealing with is the timing, and Aaron will go through the timeline a little bit, as will John and Sheila, but we're going to be able to get the vast majority of the equipment, assuming a positive approval from the alderman, up and running for the start of the next fiscal year. So we'll be able to truly realize the savings, which is an advantage. One of the other things that we're doing, and when we looked at the projects themselves, we decided it made more sense to break them down into 3 separate buckets, I'll call it. A WPCA bucket, a municipal bucket, and a Board of Education bucket. This way, there's no real commingling. There's not one side pulling from another. There's not people saying, oh, you're hiding money, you're doing this, you're doing that. We're going to use this money, that the savings, to be reinvested specifically back into those buildings. Now, the easiest one to start off with is the city side of that. So Aaron has put together a plan, which I believe has been presented out to all of you. I think it's something that we should strongly consider. It does have a tremendous amount of impact for the city, accomplishes a lot of the goals that we wanted to achieve. So with that, John, Sheila, if you want to jump in and add anything, and then maybe Aaron can say a little bit, and then we can take some questions.
I mean, I would just add that that these economic times require you to think out of the box and be creative about your funding mechanisms. You know, in addition to securing grants, you've got alternative ways to secure funding through projects that will generate revenue for the city. And I think rather than place that burden on the taxpayers, I think this is an alternative that many cities have used, and many cities have achieved a lot of successful projects and gotten a lot of the things that they need funded without having to burden the residents. So I'm very much hoping that this board will look favorably upon using JCI and going forward with this project, overall.
We see it as an important reinvestment opportunity. It's actually, great timing. I mean, this is certainly a time where I think public investment back into the infrastructure does a lot of good to keep things moving. And we're lucky to have a program where we could use energy savings to put right back into our buildings, into our infrastructure. Also, the timing for us, for Ansonia, is very advantageous in that we're not the first doing this. So this is by no means a guinea pig project. Seymour and Derby have both gone through this first, so they got the honor of being the guinea pigs. And Kurt himself spearheaded that project in Seymour. And so, of course, they learned through trial and error as to the best way to navigate an effort like this. The good news is both Seymour and Derby would do it again. That it was a great opportunity that is paying off for them. But of course, they've learned how to do it even better. You know, if they can go back and do it again, they would have done some things, I believe, somewhat differently. But of course, that's where Kurt comes in. Having learned from that, we're going to get the advantage of him being, first out there on the limb. So it's a proven process. We know what to look out for, and there's a tremendous advantage to be reinvesting savings back into our own capital and property.
Yeah, and to John's point, I think the biggest thing, at least that I learned through Seymour, and I think that my former staff would concur, is you need to keep these buckets separate because it's very challenging when you add in school buildings because again, you're talking about reimbursement. There's a lot of things that forms that need to be filled out, approvals from DAS and so on and so forth. That ended up delaying our project, slowing it down in Seymour. That's why we thought it was prudent in Ansonia that we break it up into these 3 individual buckets and, get the municipality set, show its value. And at that point, go to the Board of Education, see if they're interested in the same thing for their buildings, have a full fiscal year in which to get all the approvals, all the projects and everything done, have the Board of Education be able to determine how they want that money reinvested back into their schools and so on. And to John's point, once we did figure it out in Seymour, we looked at a second project where we were going to put essentially a solar field in the back of Chatfield Lopresti School. We did that with the whole goal of reducing our payback period. We were about 18 years was our initial payback period by doing this solar field, solar project by Chatfield Lopresti School. We're going to knock about 4 years or so off of that payment. So again, we wanted to continue to use this money to reinvest in our infrastructure and provide a better deal for our residents. Aaron, anything, and I know Aaron's on, anything that we may have missed that you want to add before we open it up to questions?
So I have an unstable internet, so I hope everybody can hear me. But to Kurt's sentiment, I think it was a prudent and smart move to break up what I originally proposed to you folks with a city and school project for the finer points that Kurt brought forward. I think this is a first initiative step on the city side to be able to capitalize on a revenue generating solar that will support additional undefined energy efficiency measures, as well as if we're successful in moving this into contract, we will be looking at other revenue generating opportunities that we didn't look at in 2019 over the summer. So I'm very happy to answer questions, very happy to be here again, talking to you folks about this project.
Are there any questions for Aaron or any of the city staff?
Yes.
From the alderman? Go ahead, Chicago.
On the city side, when we reinvest in the buildings, will the aldermen have any kind of say so on how it is spent?
I don't think that's a question for me. I mean,
no, that's for John or Sheila.
Yep.
Chicago, can you repeat that? I'm like struggling to hear.
I think the question is how to determine what the funds will be spent on. And I think that, there are projects laid out, right? There are projects laid out in the plan.
Right.
That identify the buildings, the various buildings, fire buildings, and other city buildings where the improvements will be made. And in fact, it's the energy improvement that will result from those changes that pay for the project. Additional funds, additional capacity may open up for other projects to increase the scope. And of course, it would be the legislative body that would dictate how those funds get utilized. But there already is a schedule of projects, a schedule of specific buildings and upgrades. And I think Aaron or Kurt, you can briefly touch on what those facilities will be, what is going to be improved with these projects.
Yeah, so I'll just take a shot at that, Kurt. So first, when we look at these buildings and we're trying to make them more comfortable for the folks and lower the overall operating cost, we want to tighten up the buildings. So we have earmarked weatherization throughout a host of buildings, including the firehouses. We also are controlling the fans with VFDs, and we've got some pipe and valve insulation, which will help to control the cost of operating and distributing throughout the City Hall, DPW, WPCA, and some of the firehouses. We got a library, we got a transformer that is inefficient. And so once we put the new transformer in, that runs 24/7 in terms of the savings. And then we've got a largest component, and the largest generator of savings are some solar installs, almost a megawatt of solar deployed at the DPW and the WPCA. That's carrying 95% of your cost savings. And then we have some plug load controllers throughout the City Hall and library. Additionally, the project supports an additional undetermined right now of $1 million that are contained a whole host of different scopes in a detailed energy audit. And those are condensing furnace units, some chiller components, and some possibly additional lighting throughout some of the city buildings. One of the things that I want to make sure that you folks know that I did talk about before is this is a self-funding because the energy efficiency is savings out of your existing operating budget. And Johnson is able to capitalize that, monetize it for you so that you can reinvest all of this work in your buildings. And then we put the good faith of a $30 billion company behind that in the form of a guarantee so that those savings will be realized and so that you're shifting that risk of what the solar production is going to be and any of the other energy efficiencies onto our company, and so that you're able to pay the debt service as we go through the borrowing of this type of a project.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got some questions whenever.
Go ahead, Bill. You're up.
I personally took interest in this thing and unfortunately spent a whole lot of time reading through the 120 pages or whatever it consisted of, both items. And I had some questions that came up. First off, was that the schools were mentioned just very briefly once on schedule number 17, where you'd have to take the solar off the schools for have a storage place for them temporarily. I don't know where that's coming from because that's the only place in all of that was mentioned that the school was involved. I know that the schools were questioned earlier on about solar and they were very quickly rebuffed because it was going to get in the way of issues with the school system and funding with the state. So anyway, the schools, as far as I could see, are gone. And the way I read it, it's $3,235,000 and change is what you put on it as a dollar value, with $1 million for a slush fund. That's a hell of a slush fund as far as I'm concerned, without deciding by the voters or us how it's going to be spent before you get the check. And I think I saw in the paperwork that 5 days after the contract is signed, we have to come up with $970,000 to as a down payment on the particular plan of development, which I believe the majority of the earnings will come from the solar fields. They're going to pretty much cover up a public works department. And because like the firehouse fittings, I know from the Websters that where I belong to, is in pretty good shape. You know, they've got new doors and a piece of caulk here and there, and they could fix it up. I don't know how much value that is, but the very biggest thing that wasn't even mentioned and is a huge heat loss issue in our place is a big fan on the truck floor that is continually open to outside air. We haven't been able to figure out how to close it up. So there's a lot of things that what I was reading is there's a lot of thought, and we don't want to miss the or the eventuality, and we're committing in payments of 20 years. You know, I think it's $4 million and change. That very close next year or so, we might be hit with a $20 million and a bond issue for school regionalization, either with Derby or on ourselves replacing the middle school. So my concern, and I'm sure Mr. Miller will take note of that we don't want to empty the piggy bank on future earnings, because we won't see money in our account, cash money, for what period of time after we sign this contract. Now, I may be taking a lot of falsehoods, because you got to admit the paperwork that we were given, at least I read it, and it really baffled me for a bit, but there's a lot of money there and a lot of boilerplate. And I'm not even sure if we should be doing it like you're looking for a vote tonight. I don't even think we should even touch it. We should probably do it in a special meeting where we can talk about this all by itself. Maybe some of the members can digest what was presented to us. And I'm very uneasy, very uncomfortable with it when I was reading it and looking at the dollars and everything else that we're looking at. Kurt's got this big plan, wonderful plan. I was very enthused about when I was listening to him, but this seems to be, I don't know, the little pie in the sky kind of thing. At least that's my opinion.
If it were, there wouldn't be so many communities taking advantage of it and having been successful at it. So it's.
Well, what did Derby actually do and what did Seymour actually do?
Well, I know what Shelton did.
Well, we don't even know about Shelton, so they're not an issue.
Well, Shelton did take advantage of it, and they did some firehouses and so forth.
And what did they put in the bank? What did they put in the bank? What money did they get from it for the money they had to spend?
Well, Alderman Phipps, let me address that. What the money that is paying for this project is derived directly from savings from the energy efficiency project. So it's designed to be budget neutral. So just as an example, if we have a $250,000 payment for all of the work that's going to be done, and our current utility load is 500,000, again, just to make it easy. Once everything is completed and up and running, it is expected that our utility load will drop from 500,000 to 250,000. So that 250,000 plus incentives and things from the state of Connecticut will be what is used to pay for the debt service on the program. So it should not impact our ability to go out to bond, again, because it's designed to be budget neutral. The other thing to keep in mind is while we enter into the agreement with Johnson Controls, we're going to immediately go out to bid for an owner's rep. And the owner's rep's responsibility, we have one in Seymour. Their job was simply to look at all of Johnson Controls numbers, make sure that they are all correct, make sure that they all match, and to hold Johnson Controls' feet to the fire. There are guarantees built into this contract, which I'm sure you read, and God bless you for reading that 120 plus pages, where it basically says Johnson Controls is making some assumptions. And if they don't hit those assumptions, they're putting their money where their mouth is, where they're either A, going to write us a check to make up the difference, or B, they're going to install other energy efficiency things that will generate additional savings at their cost. So there is some advantages to that. Now, the reason there is the $1 million, it is absolutely not a slush fund. There is $1 million worth of additional energy efficiency projects that have been identified. We have some concerns about other building projects that are going on and making sure that there's enough money available to address all of these projects. So I simply asked Aaron to design this 2 ways, which he has gone ahead and done that. So if there is no need for that $1 million for any other building projects, at that point we could immediately reinvest. We've also looked at additional projects, things like freestanding solar carports, as an example, that can be placed in municipal parking lots, that those would go directly to paying down the debt service faster, where we have a 20-year repayment schedule now. By making these additional reinvestments, we could take that repayment from 20 years down to 18 to 17 to 16 and so on. Once our payments are done, that is now direct savings to the city. So when you talk about the money that goes into the city's pockets, the money would come at the end. So the quicker that we could pay down this debt service, the sooner we're going to see those benefits, because again, that energy cost will stay here. The debt service is gone. We will still have the budget that's in the middle. Now, again, you need to properly budget. You need to add about 3% a year, give or take, to your utility costs each year, again, to make sure that it's realistic. But all that is built directly into the schedule, backed by the guarantee from Johnson Controls, and also double checked, for lack of a better term, by the owner's rep that the city would hire.
Yeah, I can understand that, and I can see the savings. My concern is that we've got to ante up the money in the front We
No,
won't see the money until the end. We
So,
won't.
Alderman Phipps, let me just please explain this because I don't think I covered it. So the project would be funded by a tax exempt lease, which is a borrowing, which you would do, after you agree to the project, you would go out to bid to get a bank that likes to fund these energy efficiency projects. They'd put the money in escrow. The city of Ansonia wouldn't be making any payments until the construction is done. You're receiving the benefit. Johnson would get paid that down payment that you indicated from the contract and ongoing progress payments out of the escrow account. But you, the city of Ansonia, wouldn't be making any payments until you're starting to receive and see those savings. And that would be about 1.5 years from the financing of the project.
Well, that certainly does turn things around on me because.
Right.
You're-
Mr. Phipps, it's time for somebody else to speak.
Well, let me finish and then I'll leave you alone. If you read what's in that, what was presented, what I'm complaining about and concerned about is the way you read what was presented to us. We had to ante up $250,000 a year to pay for it, or a quarter, I think it is, 4 quarterly payments, $900,000 in the beginning. That's what I read on paper. That's why I'm concerned. Now, Mr. Albrio has just changed that whole thing around. But it's unfortunate that it wasn't presented that way in the beginning. It would have saved me a lot of angst. But it makes sense then if it's not going to cost us any money, even with knowing that we won't get more money in the benefits from it until it's in application. So, Charlie, the floor is yours. Thank you, sir.
Charlie, go ahead.
You're welcome. Okay, so we did, John, Sheila, we did an energy audit about 6 years ago. And when we did that, we turned over to gas a lot of the buildings that the city owns, and we put up the lighting to save on our energy. So that is pretty recent when we did that energy audit. How is it that this one can be, the way you're talking, can be so effective in that short period of time?
I think that, it's the mechanics more for Aaron to discuss, but this is a concept called performance contracting, which is not the same as past energy projects. So a regular energy project, there's an audit, it identifies a deficiency, the improvements address that inefficiency and result in savings. But performance contracting is based on a very specific calculation of what the savings will be, and a contract that essentially identifies and creates an obligation to compensate the city for that amount. So performance contracting is very specific, and as Kurt was talking about, there are provisions that force the city to benefit even if JCI's projections are off. So performance contracting is, simply put, a different ball game than simply making a normal energy efficiency improvement. But Aaron, we talked before, as I was learning about this months ago, about what performance contracting is all about, because this is something that in the city of Ansonia, we have not done before. Could you elaborate really briefly on, that, to kind of explain to someone who may not be used to performance contracting, how, basically the nuts and bolts of it and how it works?
Sure. In simple terms, a performance contract uses the future savings that are derived by a variety of different measures and monetizing those future savings to pay for all of the work up front. And then you pay over time as those savings are proven, measured, and delivered in a report and guaranteed to you. Interesting about this.
Not to interrupt, but the guarantee there for Alderman Stowe and anyone else interested is that guarantee. That's usually not the case. It's definitely not the case when you're just making an energy improvement. Hopefully it's going to pay off. The audit shows that it should, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. Here, there's an actual contract, an actual guarantee that there will be an amount to reinvest.
Correct. And so a typical energy project is a one-time energy analysis, and then they just do the work, and then the contractor leaves. Specifically with the city of Ansonia's project, there's 262,000 of guaranteed savings. 95% of that is in a revenue grade meter associated with the solar. So you're going to have a very, very clear line of sight on those savings through utility bills and monthly ongoing analysis, as well as the annual wrap up. And should we not meet those units of guarantee, we're going to cut you a check that way to pay off the debt service associated with the project. It doesn't cost any taxpayer money.
I have a question for you. So there's a deferment in that initial investment that we need to make until it starts making money on its own. But if the project runs, if the project doesn't start to produce, do you guys pay the bank that's financing this, or are we going to have to come up with that money somewhere? I know it's going to come due at some point.
Yeah, so I'm a little confused on the question, but there is no out-of-pocket payment that's being made by the city. There's a borrowing.
Right.
And that borrowing activity happens, and then out of that bucket of money, there's a payment made to Johnson, then progress payments as construction gets underway. The schedule that we've developed for the project has us done by June. Your first payment will probably be 12 to 18 months, depending on the finance package that comes back and that you sign. So you'll have built in a significant amount of savings before the first payment is going to need to be made.
Right, but like with any construction project, if there's a delay or if we're not there by the time that payment is due, do you guarantee to make that payment?
Yeah, there's a contract timeline,
Okay,
and that's when the guarantee starts. And so if we weren't done with construction, we're obligated to hold our end of the guarantee and then make up any shortfalls that would be associated with it. This project is fairly simple and straightforward. There have been others that have been 2-year type projects. And as you point out, they are construction projects, but we see no risk associated with the timing of this one.
thank you.
And Alderwoman Tar, if I could, one of the issues we had in Seymour by kind of commingling the municipal project with the Board of Education project, that's where we ran into those snags because of the complexity of any type of school construction that you do. The municipal side is much more straightforward. So to Aaron's point, we feel very comfortable that we should be able to get the scope of work done without some extraordinary circumstance, done within the 6 months to be up and running by July 1st, the start of the new fiscal year. And if something should happen, as Aaron just explained, we do have some backing by Johnson Controls to help cover any shortfalls that we may have.
Thank you.
Kurt, I wanted to ask, you had mentioned in opening that you had said that this is similar to the project that we had discussed back in the spring. It had gone through the sustainability committee. I remember Aaron presented at that point in time. So this is the smaller version without the schools. But you had indicated a separation with the WPCA, the city and the Board of Ed, with regards to, is there going to be 3 separate projects that is eventually considered? Because I see the WPCA here, and I have a second question that sort of adds on to that, which is I'm looking at the energy project document that was presented to us. And on page 3, it breaks down sort of the work and the timeline as it was presented, the weatherization and the various different work that was going to be done and sort of the estimated timeline. I see the WPCA included there as well. So I guess I was just curious as to whether or not that's going to be separate, if WPCA is going to be included, and sort of, is that the timeline that we're relying on? And then there's that additional $1 million in capital over the life of the project that would be available, as I understand it. Is that?
Yeah, Alderman Jauman, the work that's being done in this project is some small stuff that's being done to the WPCA facility. What we're looking at more is a bigger freestanding type thing, whether it be specific larger solar arrays at the WPCA, an anaerobic digester, something like that. So that way, any savings derived by the WPCA can be put right back into the WPCA. One of the things that we're looking at is the debt service as well for the WPCA, which currently has about 25 million. You know, we're looking at some scenarios that maintaining the same payback footprint that we could save about $1 million in principal and interest. That's something that Rich Bashar and I are working on with the financial advisors and the underwriters. Again, money that can be plowed back into the WPCA to start making some reinvestments, because I know they want to start looking at, you know, the 100-year-old underground infrastructure, doing some camera and things like that. So our goal is to try to free up additional money within the existing budget that can be reinvested to address some of these issues. Obviously, Rich is very, and I believe Rich is on. Rich is very, has very good understanding what's going on in WPCA. So these are some of the things that he's looking at, to how we can address this $3 to $5 million of need that the WPCA has and pay for as much of it in cash as possible.
Right, but I guess again, that's so just to be clear, is that would be separate and apart from this?
Yes.
That's a different, okay. That's what I
nothing.
was looking for.
Yeah, nothing of that scope has been presented yet. We'd like to clear the first hurdle, which is the municipality, get that project up and running. Once that's successful, then come back, have conversations with the WPCA, have conversations with Dr. DeBacco and the Board of Education, and see if it makes sense to add those projects as well.
Okay, and that unassigned capital that's mentioned here, $1 million of unassigned capital, that's in addition to the work that's input in the project here for energy efficiency, the weatherization, and the various different insulation on the pipes, the valves, and that sort of thing. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
Yep.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Kurt, I'm just curious, do you have any idea what kind of, I don't know if I should be asking you or the other fella there, what kind of warranties and guarantees we have on some of these projects in case they're not working right, or, you know, just not working out? Is there any kind of warranty or guarantees on them?
There are, Alderman Janetti, but I'll pass that to Aaron and let him speak directly.
Okay, thanks, Kurt.
You are.
Yeah, so the largest investment, Alderman, is on the solar panels. They have a 25-year warranty, and there's a degradation, which means that the panel produces on day one 100%, and then each year it produces slightly less. That's factored into the cash flow in the guarantee, but 25 years, so the useful life of that far exceeds the term of the contract. And then there are warranties with regards to the other, obviously standard workmanship, but other product warranties that are in place. And then always when these projects close out, there's a transfer of a project manual and a construction book that's led with the supervisors and along with the city as well.
Well, my other question now is, if the roof needs repairing, say, and there's solar panels on it, who's responsible for taking them off and replacing them and doing all that work?
Yeah, so we never put solar panels on roof that don't have a lot of life, if you will. In the way that we handle warranty is you typically have a warranty in place. During the construction, we assume the warranty. We get letters on the means and methods of installations from the current provider of the warranty. We perform the work, they inspect the work, and then they issue a letter that the work was performed and that they take back over the warranty. In the future, if there is solar on a roof, say 15 to 20 years from now, there is a minimal cost associated with that, but that has not yet been factored in to any of the scopes of work. There is some ground mount here more than roof mounted.
So there will be a service contract, I gather?
Yeah, there certainly could be, absolutely, yep.
Could or would?
There could. There isn't one now. Are you asking about a service contract for that future pull down?
No, not for the pull down exactly, for any maintenance or anything that goes wrong with any of the project.
Yeah, so we're in this proposal, we're going to be a part of this project for the long term, but we certainly could add a small maintenance component to the project that we have with regards to solar, and that is a small fee. But we would recognize through our measurement and verification process, the engineer that's assigned to the job and the data acquisition system with the solar will know if anything goes down and we'll be deploying ASAP to make sure that it's operational so that our guarantee stays intact and we're not at risk.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
So I just wanted to reiterate something that Alderman Yaman said regarding the fact that the Sustainability Committee was comprised of, I believe, 7 of the aldermen did the deep dive on the bigger project, which included more assets with Aaron. So I feel like we did explore this pretty deeply, and now having Kurt aboard, who has experience directly with them. Personally, I feel a lot better about it, but I don't know, are there any other major questions anyone has, or should I proceed with the resolution and read that and we can discuss and any other questions for either Aaron or Kurt or the city on this?
Nope.
All right, I'm going to put this up on the screen just to make it easier. This is the resolution that was in your packet. And essentially would be us authorizing them to proceed with this. And after all this discussion, personally, I feel very good about this in the prospects. Resolution: reinvest to recharge initiative. Whereas the Ansonia Board of Aldermen desires to reinvest in city infrastructure and buildings for the benefit of Ansonia residents and taxpayers, and whereas the Ansonia Board of Aldermen seeks to utilize future energy savings to achieve said reinvestment at zero cost to taxpayers, and whereas Johnson Controls Inc., JCI, has submitted a performance contracting proposal to the city of Ansonia that will allow for the energy efficient improvements of city buildings, including Department of Public Works facility, City Hall, library, arms building, WPCA plant, and fire department buildings, Hilltop Hose, Webster Hose, Fountain Hose, Eagle Hose, Charter Hose, and capacity or additional improvement projects. And whereas JCI is listed on the state bid list and has successfully implemented energy performance contracts in several Connecticut municipalities, including the city of Derby and the town of Seymour, therefore be it resolved that the Ansonia Board of Aldermen hereby authorize Mayor David S. Cassetti to execute the attached performance contract with JCI, said contract being incorporated by reference into this resolution. We have a motion to approve this.
So Josh, I'd like to make that motion to approve this, and I have 2 stipulations on there. One, I like the idea of the owner's rep that Kurt had mentioned. So the ability to do this project, would hinge upon bringing on the owner's rep, as Kurt had mentioned. Additionally, the allocation, I believe Corporation Counsel mentioned this as well, the allocation of the additional funds back to future initiatives, that has to come back to the board for approval of use for whatever projects, initiatives we so deem it to be used for.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Mamone, second by Alderman Cassetti. Any last minute discussion? All right. I'm going to try to see everyone's face here. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Resolution passes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Aaron. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you. Thank you, Kurt, for your work on this. Thank you, City, for your work on this as well. All right, moving on. Next up, we have a list of appointments from the mayor dated December 2nd, 2020. I'm going to, if there's no opposition, I'd like to approach these by category and do them in one chunk. Is there anyone opposed to doing that? So doing each group together? They all have the same term expiration dates. That's why I was thinking of doing that.
Alderman Stewart,
Yes.
just wanted to draw your attention to planning and zoning. Mayor is,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
I was going to get to when yeah, the mayor would like to.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're going to table the planning and zoning appointments for this month. So those will not be addressed.
All right, that's the one I had a concern with. Okay.
Okay, so now Can we do these by group? So can I do Board of Apportionment and Taxation together?
Sounds good.
Okay. So Board of Apportionment and Taxation, these are all 3-year terms. And these are 5 reappointments, all ending in December 31st, 2023. And the nominations are Domenico Filippone, Republican, 56 Mott Street, Ansonia, Connecticut. We have David Papson, Republican, 16 Chester Street. Michael Smersnick, Republican of 22 Buswell Street. Gary Cassetti, Democrat, 102 Root Avenue. And John Maloney, Republican, P.O. Box 69.
That's a question. So are there other folks that are still on this board that aren't up for reappointment based on their term? I thought the boat committee was bigger than that.
I believe.
No, it's just the expired terms.
I believe these are only the ones that are expired.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I'll make a motion to, to support these appointments by the mayor.
Second.
One thing, Tony, one thing.
Yes.
On the last one, we have a P.O. box.
All right. I'll address that.
Yeah, Mr. Maloney. Yeah, he's given his address before, Chicago.
Okay.
About 5 times.
Yeah, we have it.
Did you think that was a ballot?
Charlie. Charlie.
Nice, Charlie.
You do have his address. He prefers publicly to have it listed as the P.O. box, but we know where he lives. The motion by Mamone, second by
Cassetti.
Cassetti. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? All right, all pass unanimously. Second, we have 4 for the Board of Assessment Appeals. These are 2-year terms ending 12/31/22. And these are 4 reappointments. Michelle Libby of 256 North State Street. Susan Nagri, unaffiliated of 8 Bends. John Maloney of P.O. Box 69, Chicago. And Lawrence Camilleri, Democrat of 163 O'Neill's Court. Anyone?
Motion to accept.
Motion by Cassetti. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Stroman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, those pass unanimously. Thank you. Next, we have 3 appointments on the Board of Police. These are 2-year terms, all ending 12/31/22. And these are all 3 are reappointments. Peter Danielchuk, Democrat of 14 North Street. Paul Heon, Republican of 12 White Oak Road. And John Tarr, unaffiliated of 30 La Rovera Terrace.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Yaman, second by Mamone. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, all unanimous. Thank you. Next up, we have 2 reappointments to the Board of Public Works, 2-year terms ending 12/31/22. And again, these are reappointments. Richard Barrow, Democrat, 7 Dempsey Road, and Gary Cassetti, Democrat, 102 Root Ave.
I make a
Motion.
Motion by Rivers, second by
Mamone.
Ramon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right. Next up, we have 1 for the Conservation Commission. This is a 4-year term that ends 11/15/24. And the nominee is Frank Pergola, unaffiliated of 13 Moulthroop Street. Was that?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Yauman, second by anybody.
Rivers.
Rivers, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Great. We have 1 Cultural Commission nominee, 3-year term expiring 12/31/23, reappointment. George Pudemat, Republican of 13 Joyce Ave in Derby.
Motion to approve.
I got a question first.
Yes.
This guy's from Derby. I think we should really look into getting somebody from Ansonia on this.
Joe, we love Kirby.
Joe,
I don't wanna
Joe, I'll just say this, is that I don't think there's a limit on Cultural Commission, on the number of people that can be on there.
I understand that, Joe, but I think there's Ansonia people that would like to get on some of these committees, and we should open it up to Ansonia people before we open it up to out-of-towners. That's just my opinion.
I know, Joe, but George has been on there for a while.
Yeah.
Where have these people been then?
Yeah.
Nobody's breaking down the door to help us.
Yes, you
Yeah,
are, Joe.
exactly, Dan.
Exactly. I seem to differ on that one, but I know a couple of people that would like to be on boards, and that's,
we had a full board when we came into office, and nobody, we need people to actually participate and do things, and that's what we're looking for. So it doesn't matter.
I agree with you, Sheila, but I do know some people in town that would like to be on boards, and they put names in to be on boards, but that's just what I was told.
All right.
I do agree with Joe. I know that letters were sent early on where people were asked about being on boards and from Ansonia, and they have not been appointed to any boards. So
Not this specific board, or are you talking about all boards?
They listed a few boards. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if cultural was on it or not. I can't say that, but I do know that that I feel we need to prioritize Ansonia folks, unless there aren't any Ansonia folks that want to go on the board.
This one came up last year, the same time with the same issue.
I was just gonna say the same thing, Josh, is that I know this came up when Rich DiCarlo was reappointed, where they're happy to take they're happy for the help. So if other people are interested in the Cultural Commission, have them get in touch with Rich DiCarlo, and I'm sure he'll talk to the mayor, and we can get them appointed as well. Because I don't believe there's a limit to this particular commission, so.
Right. That was the result last year as well.
Yeah, on this one.
I'm just concerned too about is this legal to put an out-of-towner on any of these boards?
Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
So this particular individual is a member also of the art gallery that is located in Ansonia.
Arts Council.
He helped out tremendously during certainly the outdoor movie nights. He even returned after dealing with a particularly bad bout of struggled with COVID during the last several months, and returned to really help out Rich and the rest of the organization's members. So he's definitely gone above and beyond. And I would say with events, we can never get enough volunteers. There usually ends up being a very, very small group putting a lot of work in to make sure that these events go off well for the city.
I agree with Joe. I think he's got a point that if there are other people who would be interested in being placed on that commission, then they should at least be considered.
Well, they'll be considered. They should reach out to Rich, kind of as we had said in the past, and have that work through the mayor.
All right.
If this guy George is putting in a good, a bunch of good work for Ansonia, why are we trying to push him away?
Tony, I'm not disputing his help or anything. I'm just, if somebody does come to City Hall and asks to be on a board, maybe we could reach out to them and ask them if they want to be on. Just say they want to be on any board, and then they say there's no opening on this board, but how would you like to be on this committee? Reach out to them and say, offer them something else if they come across and say, hey, I'd like to be on a committee. I'd like to be on this committee, but we don't have any openings. But how would you like to be on this committee? They might say yes.
It is a good idea. And if they're going to participate, Joe, obviously I fully support that. But if we're going to potentially kick this guy off and put somebody on who's not going to show up or participate, that's a huge disservice to the board.
Tony, I'm not saying to kick him off by no means. I'm just saying, let's open it up to other, citizens too. I'm definitely not against anyone who wants to help. I think we need a lot of help.
How about we appoint people to the boards that have actually volunteered first and have proven their work and have done some actual work? You don't need to be on the committee. You don't need to be in charge to actually work. If you're genuinely interested, you can volunteer and do everything. And then the people that are responsible in running these programs should be on the boards. Not every single volunteer does not need to be on the board.
Fair point, Dan.
I'll just say that in the end, a lot of these events end up with 3 or 4 people total running them, and he's always one of them.
I'm not disputing that. Don't get me wrong here. I'm just saying let's open it up to some Ansonia residents too, which you are fair to a good extent. I just hear people saying, geez, I'd like to get on committees, and I tell them, go down City Hall, throw your name in the hat. And I don't know if they are, but that's what I'm just.
Is there a master list of people who've come down and wanted to go on different committees?
That was my question, Bobby.
Is that a question? Is that a question or a statement?
It's a question. Is there a master list of people who've come in and said they wanted to be on committees?
People submit letters to the mayor, on a regular basis or semi-regular basis. Mayor considers everybody. No one is precluded because they're an Ansonia resident for a Derby resident or a Shelton resident. That never happens.
Okay.
So,
but I think to Dan's point, have any of those people actually reached out to maybe the head of that committee or board to either volunteer to work with them to put some sweat equity into it to earn their spot on the board, not just, hey, I think I'm entitled to a spot. And Joe, I'm not making it seem like that, but I'm just kind of paraphrasing a bit here.
Can I just make a comment, please? According to the charter, most of the commissions and boards require that the members are resident electors. And each one is addressed separately.
But the Corporation Council already spoke on this issue. He's our Corporation Council, and I think he knows the charter. So
I do too. Thank you.
We did.
Are you an attorney?
All right, back to the motion. Where were we here? Let's keep moving.
I made a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? What? After all that, nobody's voting.
I think it was just a discussion.
It wasn't a moot point. It was a good point.
It wasn't against anyone. It wasn't against a certain individual or anything like that.
We passed it. It's done.
Charlie, I'm allowed to talk, all right? I'm just
Sure,
saying.
but we passed it. It's done.
It's a fair point, Joe.
I'm allowed to give my opinions.
It is a fair point.
Keep it on. Keep going. I'm willing.
Next up,
Charlie, if you want to be here, go to sleep. All
I'm
right.
not ready for that yet.
I got to listen to a lot of other people. They can listen
He's
to
getting
me too.
cranky.
Let's be fair about this.
You're tired, Joe.
Very good, Joe.
I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning. I'm down the Riverwalk. You want to join me?
All right.
Carry on. Historical Commission, 2 years. We have an Ansonia resident being nominated for reappointment. 11/15/22, Lois Ann Marazzi, Democrat, 195 Pulaski Highway. It's the only candidate.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Yauman, second by Cassetti. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? All right, perfect. We have one nomination for the Historic District Commission, 5-year term, reappointment, term expiring 12/31/25. Roy Robert Craven, Republican of 114 Rockwood Ave.
So moved.
Second.
Roman, second by Cassetti. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, perfect. We have 3 for Inland Wetlands Commission. These are 2-year terms. Jimmy Little, Democrat, 36 Star Street, term expiring 12/31/22. That's a reappointment. Michael Mihalchik, unaffiliated, 23 Birchwood Drive, term expiring 12/31/22. That's a replacement. And William Malerba, unaffiliated, 145 Myrtle Ave, a term expiring 12/31/22. That's also a reappointment.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Yaman, second by Cassetti. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right. Like I said, we're skipping the next one. That's been tabled by the mayor. And the last one is the Naugatuck Valley Health District, Thomas Carney, unaffiliated, of 2 Kruger Court.
Motion.
Motion by Rivers, second by Cassetti.
Oh, is there a term on that?
Yeah, but I have the old version. The term that, yeah, I can give it to you. Hang on. There is a term on there. Trish, do you have it?
Yes, I do.
What's the term ending?
The term 12/31/2023.
2023. And that's a new appointment.
Thank you.
Nomination was made by who?
Rivers, second by Cassetti.
Second by Cassetti. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Motion. Thank you guys for that. There's nothing under ordinance. We have one item under new business, which is the facade application. However, it was incomplete, and so we will not consider that. The facade committee did meet on December 3rd, subcommittee, and determined it was incomplete. And we requested more information, and I think some of that is coming in, but it's not all the information that's required to consider it. So we will not take
Make a motion to table.
Yep. Motion to table by Charlie, second by
Hellman.
Yalman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Worth noting that the other applications that we received did not come back in the proper form at all. So there's only one that was received.
Right. Anything under old business? Anybody? All right. And the last item is executive session.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Second.
By Cassetti, second by Mamone. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed to going to executive session and ending this? No? Okay. Corporation Counsel, who do we need for these?
Can I have Sheila, Mike, Delesio?
Yep.
And Rhonda, if she's still here.
Okay.
How many items are there?
30.
Huh?
There's only the 3
Nice.
specified on the agenda.
I didn't hear you. How many?
There's 2 items. Only the 3 that are on the agenda. We can't.
Doesn't feel like 30.
There was on the
Have a
agenda.
little fun in my account. I don't mind. Does not bother me.
John, am I the host?
No, I am. Hold on. Let me stop.
Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Wait until everybody's here, but motion by Cassetti. Oh, is Trish here?
Yeah.
Second by Rivers.
I'm here. Are all of you here? Do I still have the same count of aldermen?
I don't think so, but
We lost a few on the way.
I think some are still coming back.
Cassetti and Rivers, right?
No alder left behind.
Cassetti and Rivers. Yep.
that's right.
Okay.
All right, you ready to roll? Okay, executive session, item number 1, in the issue of Giuseppe Ferrara versus City of Ansonia, RE Myrtle, 81 Myrtle Avenue.
Motion to take no action.
Second.
Motion by Mamone, second by Yalman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Abstain.
1 abstention. Debbie. Second item, Mr. Glover versus City of Ansonia, RE vehicle damage.
Motion to take no action.
Second.
Take no action by Mamone, second by Tar. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. And final item number 3, William Ziedzik, Esquire, RE 10 Holbrook Court, blight violation.
Motion to table.
Taking no action.
Motion to table by Mamone, second by Rivers. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Chicago, hit it.
Who's hitting it?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Yes.
adjourn.
Chicago, wake up.
Second by
Second.
Stowe wants to get out of here. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you, guys.
Da, 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 da.
Thanks,
Good
guys.
night.
Good night,
Happy
everybody.
holidays. Merry
Good night.
Christmas.
To see you all again.
Happy New Year, all that fun.